All right. In this video, we're going to keep on with our review by taking a look at finding the measure of some missing sides using some given information. So in question 4 from the Unit 9 review, we are trying to find the measure of side A. Sorry, I had to yawn. And we are going to answer, round our answer to the third decimal place. So we're going to have a decimal as an answer. So it looks like we've been given some information here. We've been given the number 12, which is the hypotenuse of this triangle. And we've been given two interior angles and the right angle. And that's all the information I have. And I need to find this missing side, A. Now, I actually have a lot of options open to me. I have the hypotenuse and one of the sides. Because I have the hypotenuse, I can use either the trig function sine, because we have the function so that has the hypotenuse in it, or I can use cosine, which has the hypotenuse as well. Tangent is the only one I won't be able to use here because I need the opposite and the adjacent, and those are both unknown. So I can use either sine or cosine, and it depends on which angle I would like to use, because if I'd like to use the angle 47, A is its opposite side. Using the angle 47 would lead me to use the sine function. If instead I wanted to use the angle 43, for the angle 43, A is the adjacent side, so I would have to use cosine. And it really doesn't matter which one I choose. They will both give me the exact same answer. Now, in my review packet, I just happened to pick 47 degrees as my angle, so that's what I'm going to do. But if you chose 43 degrees, you should be using cosine for this problem. So I have the angle 47. That makes this the opposite side, and I have the hypotenuse. So the opposite and hypotenuse here. So that means that the sine of my angle, 47 degrees, is going to equal the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So A divided by the hypotenuse of 12. All I have to do to solve this guy is just multiply both sides by 12 to get it away from my A value. So 12 times the sine of 47 is going to be equal to A. And when I plug that in the calculator, I get A is equal to 8.776. That's that third decimal place right there. Let's go ahead and try to do something similar to that. We're going to move on to question 5. Here we go. We're going to try and find the measure of angle A to the nearest degree. This time we're rounding to a whole number. Now here we have a little bit different of a setup. We are trying to find angle A, and we've been given two sides here. Now according to angle A, this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, and the 20 over here is the hypotenuse. Now I have the adjacent and I have the hypotenuse, which means I'm going to be using cosine, adjacent and hypotenuse. So the cosine of angle A is going to equal the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. Now I do want to get A by itself. A is currently inside the cosine function. So I have to undo the cosine by using its opposite. And the opposite of cosine is inverse cosine, which looks like a cosine with a little -1 symbol. So inverse cosine for both sides, A will now be alone, and all I have to do is type in the inverse cosine of 14 over 20 into my calculator to get my answer. Looks like inverse cosine of A is 445.5, and we're going to be rounding that to the nearest degree, so it's going to be 46 degrees. That guy's all done. Let's try one more question like this. We have a word problem here. There's a man flying his helicopter. He's standing 200 feet away from the landing pad. The drone is 180 feet up in the air. And the man's looking up at the drone. At what angle is he looking up? So we're trying to find this angle right here. Again, we're going to round to the nearest whole number. So according to this angle, we have the opposite over here, the adjacent where he's standing, and the hypotenuse is the distance from the man to the copter. Now we have the opposite and the adjacent. That's going to be tangent. Tangent has opposite and adjacent. So let's set up our function. We have the tangent of the angle, which we don't know. I'm going to go ahead and call it theta. You can name it whatever you want. And it's the opposite divided by the adjacent. So again, I have to undo tangent in order to get this theta by itself. And I'm going to undo tangent with its inverse, which is that -1 symbol. So tangent inverse of both sides. So theta will equal the inverse tangent of 180 over 200. And again, it wants the nearest degree. So theta equals 41.9, which rounds to 42 degrees. And that's it for question 6. We're going to move on to converting in the next video.